morning, everyone. So in the last class, we are trying to find out the log4j example here. Now you can see, so we added log4j property here in the file name called log4j.properties. So whenever we are adding this particular log4j, internally we added some of the information called SLF4j jars here. So because without adding these two jars here, we got an exception here. So we added these two dependencies here. Right. After adding this particular two dependency here, we are able to run the example. So where we define the Spring Hibernate here. Inside this particular Hibernate, we are having the main class here. Let me close this. So if you see carefully here, now what are the steps we are identified in the yesterday class? We created our configuration class. So we identified configuration is our main class to configure the database properties here. So with the help of this particular cfg.xml file we identified, and later we connect with our application with the hibernate.properties. So we connect with our application with the help of the hibernate properties here. So these are the two ways we can connect here. And if I'm not providing this particular cfg.xml, what it will do, Hibernate will try to find out the property file, so which is expecting hibernate.properties here. Based on this particular naming convention, Hibernate will try to inject the database related properties. And later, now what I'm doing here, with the help of this particular add class. So whenever we are making this particular add class here, internally we are providing the particular persistence class here. So what is the class we are going to integrate with our database? The name of the class called message. Whenever we are adding the particular method called add class here, Hibernate, what it will do? It will try to look for the mapping document, so which is going to appended with the name of the class. So message.hbm.xml. Getting the point. So this is the way the mapping documents it's going to appended, and once it is identified in the source directory, it will try to load the particular mapping document here. So once the mapping document is identified, it will try to create the table with the columns here. And later session factory. We identified this particular session factory is available for the one database, one session factory. And here it is a thread safe here. We can work on the multiple sets with the session factory. From the session factory, now what we are doing is we are trying to creating our session object to integrate with our database. Same way we are connecting our transaction. So basically this particular transaction is going to take care of committing and rollbacking the particular data here. And we are trying to load the data. So with the help of this particular data, we are trying to connect our application here. Now you can see how this particular log4j is working here. How this particular log4j is working. So if you understand here, so these are the log messages we are getting. So everything. So now you can observe information here. So which version we are trying to connect here? 3.2.0. So first we'll see whether the same version we are connecting or not. So where we can identify here? Hibernate. So we're having 3.6.1 here. But now you can see, so here maybe it's providing the version here, environment version, but it's going to support the common annotation from the 3.2.0 final. And later what we are doing here, so you can see it's going to support from the 1.4 JDK 1.4 onwards, and these are our mapping document here. And later, so what we are doing here, so here we did not provide any validator here, so it's providing the validator information. So connection full size and database properties here. These are the database properties here. So Postgres version it's providing here the database name, and these are the driver we are trying to connect here, PostgreSQL JDBC driver. So this is the way we can easily find out the Hibernate information. So to find out this particular information, what we provided here, so we provided here log4j.properties, and here we provided as a information. So now you can see all the messages we are going to get as a info. So now you can see all the So this is the particular thread ID. So main thread we are running, and this is all about the information here. Getting the point. So this is our information. So other than the information, we are not seeing any information here, right? So what we can do, we can go for this particular log4j properties based on this particular package name. So we can change whether if you want to work on the information or warning level or any error level. So we can define the particular information here after the package we declare here. So this is all about the like log4j properties here. Okay, so back to here. Now what we are doing here we are trying to inserting data. First we are trying to selecting the data, and we are trying to find out the particular max message ID. Based on the max message ID, we are trying to inserting into this particular message table. So we'll see select star from how many records we are having here. So these are the records we are trying to inserting here. Change the text we are having, and we are having next message ID, which is available in the 10th location here. Okay, so this is the way we can update the particular data here. Now, so what we are going to write here, so today we are we'll try to discuss the multiple classes here. So to connect the multiple classes here, first what we need here, basically Hibernate is not going to take care of when we are trying to declare any model classes. So something like a message we declare here. So this particular message is not implementing or is not extending any other classes here. So just simply we define the one normal class here. So based on this particular normal class, we are trying to connect our application with the database using our Hibernate here. Right. Now we can see we'll try to create a multiple classes here. So Hibernate is going to work on the basic POJO model here. Getting the point. So Hibernate is going to work on our basic POJO model here, and most of the POJO model here is compatible with our Hibernate here. Now we'll see how we can work on the user with the address table here. I'm creating one more class here, something called user, and this user also is one of the persistence class, and in our Java terminology we'll call it as a, so this is also one POJO class. Getting the point. And so you can implement this particular user with the serializable, but here we don't require any this particular implementation. But here the problem here, whenever we are trying to connect our application over the internet here, so this particular serializable will useful. But as of now, Hibernate is not required any this section of implementation or any abstraction. Okay. So back to here. Now what I want to write here, I want to define private, so username, and we can define this particular password, and long ID. So these are the three properties. Along with these three properties, I want to define one more property, something called address. Right. So these are the properties we are having. So let me create a address also. So we are creating inside this particular package. Okay. So first we'll fill up with this user information. Now what I will do, so simply we'll try to generate setters and getters here. Right, now you can see these all about our properties here. And if you observe here, let me create a default constructors as well. And we created the default constructor and some of the methods here. So set method, get method, as well as set address and get address. These are the address we created here. Okay. So later we'll discuss about the address related information. Now if you observe here, so this is our simple model class we created here. Getting the point. So now you will see we'll try to create a one more class here. We'll try to create a one more class here. So here we'll try to work on the our bidirectional navigation. So we require the two attributes here. So to work on this particular bidirectional, now I want to create a one more class here. So what is the class we are going to create here? Something called category. So this particular category, now what I will do, inside this particular category, long ID, private, string name here, the name of the category, and category. So this is our parent category. And now I am trying to create our child categories here. Child category. So to create this particular child category, now how we can write here? New hash set here. Getting the point. So this is the way we are going to work on our child category. And now you can see here we are having set of categories here. So now what you are understanding here, we are going to work on the multiple categories and generate our category constructor. This is our default constructor and setters and getters. Child category is expecting set of categories here, and whenever we are calling the get child categories here, we'll get a set of category objects here. So those categories are going to store inside this particular child category here. Okay, so this is all about the child category, and we created one parent category here. So now you can see the parent category we implemented based on these two setters method and getter method here. And here, if you observe, to allow this particular bidirectional navigation here, bidirection is nothing but whenever we are trying to work on the two-way operation here, and we require two attributes here. Getting the point. And the parent attribute here, the parent category attribute is implemented as a single val. Getting the point. The parent attribute here is going to expect as a single value. And the child category here, getting the point. The child category, so is going to expect as a multiple is nothing but the collection type here. And because of this, we said like we chosen as a setter injection here. Like sorry, the collection type here we made as a set interface here. Right. And now how we can write this particular the bidirectional operation here. So whenever we are trying to work on this particular association between the parent and child category, how we are going to write here, the parent category must be child, the parent category of the child, so must be effectively it needs to available the association between the child and parent here. So to create this particular parent and child here, what are the ways we can write here? We can define the object like this. We are going to define the particular object like this here. Let me write here inside this particular main method. Category. So I want to create our parent category. Right. So this is our parent category. And what we will do, we'll create one more category here. Child category. Right. After creating this particular child category, now what I am doing here, with the help of this particular child dot set parent here. For this particular parent here, now what I am doing here, I'm making, so this is our parent category. Right, and now if you observe here, parent dot set child category. So set child category, what is expecting here? We need to set collection of objects here. We need to set collection of object here. So as of now, we don't have a collection of object. We are having only one object here. Now how we can write here? Get to child categories here. Get to child categories dot add. And here I want to make as a child here. So if you observe carefully here, how we are making the relation here. So we are having two objects here. One object for parent and another object for child here, and with help of this particular child reference we are making this particular parent here, and with help of this particular parent here we are trying to inserting the child record here. With help of this particular parent here we are inserting child records. So this is the way we are making the association between the parent category and child category here, right? So now we created the object here, but whenever we are trying to work on the our, so the data mapping here, how we are going to work. So we'll try to focus on the data mapping here. And so before going to work on the data mapping here, I want to define one method here. So this particular method will indicating whenever we are going to call any method here. So like whenever we are calling the category information here. So now observe, I want to write public void add child category here. The name of the method I'm trying to implementing as a add child category, and which is expecting child category. Getting the point. So once it is expecting the child category here, now how we can write here, observe here. Now I'm trying to make one condition. So what is the condition I'm making here? And so if this particular child category, if this particular child category, if we are making null here, if I'm trying to make null here, now what happens internally? So we need to throw an exception. We need to throw an exception called illegal argument. Illegal argument, and we can define the message call null child category. Getting the point. So we can write here. But sometimes what happen here, the child category we are not going to make null here. So if I'm not making null here, now what I'm trying to write here, if you observe, child category dot get parent, get child category, and if this particular not equals to null, now what we can do, we can go for the child category section here. And now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to work on the if this particular child categories are null, first we'll go for the get parent category. For this parent category, what are the child categories we'll have? We'll try to remove all the categories here based on this particular object. Getting the point. So see carefully here. Now what I'm doing here. So child category dot get child category here. Here not child categories here. Get to parent category. Now observe, whenever for this particular child category object, whenever we are trying to post, if this particular child category is having parent category, the parent category definitely will have a child categories here. So I'm trying to remove whatever the child category we are having. So if this particular parent category is not available, now what we can do? Simply child category dot set parent category. The parent category we are going to set as a current object here, and here child category we are setting like this here. Getting the point. So this is all about the one method. So it's going to perform the checking condition and everything, right? So this is the way also we can define the specific method in our persistence class here, and based on our requirement we can call this particular method. But internally what we are doing is we are trying to update the same properties here. Now you can see finally we are calling set categories of this particular child categories here, and we are calling the particular parent category. So how we are calling the particular parent category? With the help of this particular method called set parent category. So getting the point. Now you can see, so the object, based on this particular object, we are calling parent category, and based on this particular, so collection reference, we are trying to insert one record into the has set to collection here. Cutting the point. But now, so what we need to focus here? But internally, what we are checking here, if the child category we are making null, so we are going to throw one exception here. And if this particular child category, if it is having any parent category, we are trying to remove the particular child category object from the parent category. And once it is removed, again we are trying to set into this particular object. Okay, so this is the way we can work on this particular category object information. Now, if we observe, whenever we are trying to work on this particular bidirectional operation, what we are doing is we are making setter injection, and within the same class. But if I'm going to work on the different classes here, I want to communicate with different the classes with the bidirectional operation here, and here we are going to work on the many to many association. So many to many association. So how exactly the many to many association is going to work? Based on the two model classes here, item and bid. So we'll try to create because we created a category, and we'll try to connect our application with one more class called item. Observe, this particular item will have a many to many association. Many to many association here, right? Now observe how this particular many to many association is going to work. Item class I'm trying to create here. Inside this particular item, now what I will do, I will try to add a properties here. So what are the properties we can add inside this particular item class? So before going to add this particular properties, first I want to add set of item. Has set, right? And after this, now what we can do, we can generate the getters and setters here, and select all. Category. But now back to the item class. So here inside this particular item, now what I'm trying to write here, I want to define some of the item information. Long ID, name of the item, so description, and here what we can do, we can go for the categories here. set of categories. And here categories is equals to has set here, right? And these are the property we define inside this particular which class here we are having item, and we'll create a one default constructors as well. So this is indicating category class and this is indicating item class. Now if you observe carefully here, inside this particular category we are making, sorry, inside this particular item class we are making category related information. Same way, if you observe inside this particular category class we are trying to make item related information. In the both the classes we are having the relations here. From the category 2 we can connect with our item. From the item 2 we can connect from we can connect to the category class. Getting the point? Because so in the two classes we are having the both the object informations here. Now if you see with the help of this particular many to many relation, how we are going to connect here. Getting the point? So to connect this particular item, now what we can do, we can define the one more method with inside this particular item class here. Inside this particular item class here. Now you can see how I am writing one more method here. So this particular method will perform all the operations here. So public void add category method, where I'm trying to write inside this particular item class here. I'm defining one specific method here to perform the category insertion here. Now you can see this particular add category which is expecting here category object, and if this particular category will make null here, now what we can do, again we can throw an exception here. Illegal argument null category, and so if it is not null here, now what we can do, and here now what we can do, so the above category what we are doing here, I'm trying to load the get items here. Get items dot add whatever the current object we are having, I'm trying to set into the items here, and categories dot add category. Getting the point? So this is the way we can set the category. Based on this particular category, I'm trying to load item, and I'm trying to add the current object information. And whatever the object we are passing, so we are trying to set into the particular category. So this particular category is we defined on top of this particular class called item here. So this is the way we can define the specific method to insert the category object from the particular item class here. So this is all about the item class we defined as well as category class we defined here. Right. So whenever we are trying to work on these two classes here, we need to focus on the particular mapping document. So how exactly the mapping documents are it's going to work here. Right. And along with this, so we can define the specific implementation in our user classes. So the user classes, if you observe inside this particular user class here, we defined here set username and get user, but we did not provide any set name username. And if you want to work any specific method, okay. Basically, in the user class also, we can write the particular methods here to find out the conditions here. If the username is null, so we can throw the exception, or if the format is we did not provide it properly, we can throw the some different exception. So how we implement it in the category and item class, same way we can define the some methods here. So as of now, we don't require more about the user class here. So I'm not implementing much of the code here. But now, so back to here, how we can work on the mapping documents here. For this particular category, how this particular document will work here. So let me create a document in our source directory. We'll go for the new and other, define as a XML. And what is the name we are having here? The model class name we are having as a category. Based on this particular category, we'll create our mapping document here. Category dot XML. And we'll finish here. Now what I will do, I will copy. So whatever the mapping related information we implemented, so we'll change to this particular category class. And here, so based on this particular message, we'll change to the category, right? And what is the name of the table we want to create? The name of the table we want to create as a category. And we are having something called category details, and we are having, so here, category ID. Okay, we'll work on the same increment here. So otherwise, we can go for the native. We'll change to the native here. So we'll see, basically, native is a combination of so other generator types here. We'll discuss later how this particular generator classes are going to work. But back to here, what are the properties we are having here? Inside this particular category, ID, the second property we are having name here. So category dot HBM XML we need to move. Name here. Category name. And the type we made as a string here. So string only. And now, so we need to focus on these two sections here. How we are going to connect to this particular parent category and child categories as well as items here. Getting the point. So to connect this particular information, first what we can do, again, we need to work on the many-to one here. For this particular many-to one, I'm going to use same as it is. And here, parent category, right? So however, this particular, the category we are having here, so child category and item. Now we need to think about this set of, how we can define this particular two set of collections types here. So we'll see, first we need to understand the DTD declaration. We already discussed in the last class, and mapping declarations and category of this particular map here. Basically, this particular DTD we already identified here, and we are trying to mapping on this particular object called category here. And what is the name of the table we are creating here? Category. And see, these are some properties we defined here. And now, if you observe, here we need to write some information here. Basically, the information here, along with this, the column here, we are having one option called type. So we can define the type, what exactly the property we are having here. So based on this particular type internally, the database column, the column data type is going to identified here. If I'm going to provide as a log in the column here, based on the appropriate data data type here, the column data type is going to change. Same way string for the varchar2, for in long, it's going to go for the into related data type in our Postgres database. And along with this, now what we can do, so we'll have the column property. We'll have a column properties. Instead of writing the column name like this here, now what we can do, we can go for the column properties internally. We can go for the column properties internally. Now you can see, if I'm trying to specify here, column attributes we are trying to see here. And so here we can write the call name of the column here. And same way we can go for the column attribute here. Getting the point. So both are performing same here, but seeing so we can easily understand here, this is the property and this is the column. And here also we can go for the attribute column here, right? Just for understanding I'm providing. So this is also will work here whenever we are trying to work on so different the property column here. And later, now what we can do, so we can go for the not null constraint here. Here we can define the not null constraint here. So how we can define, now we can see, so these are the properties we can go for the not null here. Not null condition. So whenever we are making this particular not null condition, what it will do, so we cannot make this particular column value as a null here. Whenever we are making the null, we may get a exception here. We may get exception here. And later we are having formula here. So now you can see this particular formula. So formula here, what it will do, whenever we are making the formula, we are not going to define the column here. Whenever we are making the formula, we are not going to define the column. Basically, this particular formula based on some expressions here. So for example here, whenever we are having like, this is the total amount. Getting the point. Now we are having one more property here. Here we are having the property name called so just example I'm trying to defining here, total amount. And this particular type we are having as a big decimal. We are trying to have a big decimal here. Right? The type we are having big decimal, and we are making not null constraint, and we can go for the formula. So what it will do, this particular formula here. Getting the point. So what it will do, and here we can make minimum amount to maximum amount as a total amount here. So minimum plus maximum. Getting the point. So minimum plus maximum. So whatever the amount we are going to get, the particular amount is going to store in the column called total amount. And the column also it's going to create it after performing this particular expressions here. And once the column is created, it will try to inject the value. Getting the point. It will try to inject the particular value. So this is very important here. Whenever we are trying to work on this particular formula, we are not going to define any column here. Right. And along with this, what we can do, so we can go for the any SQL queries also. Inside this particular formula, we can define the SQL queries here. So how we can define this particular SQL queries here? So for example, same the total amount if I want to make here, select here something called average here. Select average based on the amount here. Getting the point. So based on this particular amount, so what is the class we created? Okay. So for example, b dot amount to from balance b, where balance ID is equals to something, the current ID, or we can make any category ID or any other ID here. So here also I want to make balance ID. Getting the point. So this is the way we can make the particular SQL query to insert the value into the total amount here. To insert the value into the total amount. Now we can see this is also one way to provide the formula. Based on this particular select query, whatever the value we are going to get, the value is going to store into the table column called total amount. But here, so we need to make the condition which it needs to satisfy the current table here, which it needs to satisfy the current the table value, because we cannot provide the value dynamically. So this particular value is going to expect like injected automatically. Getting the point. This particular value is injected automatically, so we need to very careful whenever we are trying to define this particular value here. Getting the point. Now if you observe carefully, so this is all about the particular formula to inject the value based on some conditions here. And as well as now we can see this particular one more access here. So what exactly the access attribute it's going to provide. And here this particular access attribute is going to allow to specify how the Hibernate should access the property of value. Getting the point. So it's going to specify the access of this particular Pojo class property value. Getting the point. And internally we are going to make as the by default we'll have a property. So it's going to work on the getter method or setter method pair here. And we can go for the field statistic. So for example, we are having the column called category name, and here we are having access here. What is the default one? So the default one we are going to work on the property. So property is nothing but, so whatever the property we defined here, the name of the property. So based on this particular setter injection and getter injection, the value is injected into the column called category name. And we can go for the other than this particular property, something called field here. Whenever we are making field here, what happens internally is going to work on the reflection axis here. Getting the point. So field is nothing but instance variable here. So whatever the value we are having for the variable, so it's going to inject it into the directly. Getting the point. And here we don't require any the setter injection and getter injection. Getting the point. So for example here, the name here. So this particular name here, now what we are doing here, and if I'm going to initialize the value here, if I'm going to initialize this particular value for all the records here, getting the point. For all the records here, this particular name is going to injected here. So without calling the explicit getter method and setter method. So in this case, we don't need any setter injection here. So this is all about the access field level. But by default, which one we are going to use? Property here. So which one we are going to use here? The access attribute here, property here. Getting the point. So this is also, we can go for the access level. But if we want to provide the value, so dynamically, so now what we can do, we can go for the one class we are having here. We are having property accessor. Now you can see this is the interface we need to define here, like we need to implement property accessor. What it will do? So this particular getter method or setter method. Getting the point. Now you can see getter method and setter method based on the class. So which class getter method we want to call, we need to provide, and which property we want to call, we need to specify here. And same thing for the setter also. We need to define these two. Based on this, what it will do, the value is going to injected into the particular column called the category name. Getting the point. So here we can provide the particular access here. This particular access, what happens internally is going to check on the based on this particular interface here. So this is also one option. We can define the value, how we want to inject the value into the appropriate column here. Appropriate column here, right? And so we'll focus on the one more attribute here, insertion and updation here. For this particular property level, we can go for the insertion and updation here. How we can work on the insertion and updation here. Now, if you see this particular insert to true, by default we are getting insert to true, and same way we are going to get on the update here. Update also true. Now, what we understand here, for each and every operation, how many times this particular data we are trying to inserting or update. So we are having an option to, we can insert the data into this particular column, or we can update the data into this particular column. But now what we can do, so we can make false here. So whenever we are making this particular false here, what happens internally? So this particular insert statements or update statement will not perform into the appropriate column called category name. Getting the point? So this is a way also we can make some restriction regarding this particular column, and we can provide the unique key. So we can provide based on the unique key, if we want to insert any value, we can go for the unique key here. And so one more we are having here, dynamic insert here. Where is the dynamic insert? Okay, so this dynamic insert will available on top of the class level. Now you can see dynamic insert, we by default we are having false here. So insert and update we are having false here. So whenever we want to unmodified condition, getting the pen, based on the unmodified condition, if we want to insert any data here, we can go for the dynamic insert true and dynamic insert false here. Getting the point? Basically, without the condition, we are not going to insert the data, or we are not going to update to. So because of this, so they made as a false here. Whenever we are making the false, the data is not going to updated into the particular table called category. But now, so using this particular dynamic insert here, the dynamic insert attribute here, Hibernate, so is going to include the unmodified properties here. Unmodified properties values. Getting the point? And whenever we are trying to insert this particular value into the table called category, what it will do internally is going to insert the value unmodified property. Whenever we are having any unmodifiable property, so those values also it's going to inject it into the table called category. So for this particular purpose, we can go for the dynamic insert and dynamic update here. These are the two attributes we are having. And so we discuss about the column property, and another one we need to understand here, naming convention. Getting the point? So for example, I want to create this particular table based on some naming convention here. So how we are going to create the naming convention? If you observe carefully, the naming convention here, we want to create something called we can create. So whenever we are having any application here, for example, when we are trying to work on the e-commerce application here, based on this particular EC underscore category, so that we can easily understand this particular category class, category table is related to e-commerce application category. Getting the point? So how we are going to create this particular naming convention? So along with the table, we can go for the columns here. So to work on this particular naming convention here, we are having one interface called naming strategy. So with help of this particular naming strategy, we can work on the particular table name like a strategy or property here. So observe. So I want to work on the CA here. For all the tables, I want to define as a CA. This is the class I'm trying to create here, and interfaces I want to define as a. Now you can see naming strategy. So it is coming from the org Hibernate CFG. Now I want to finish here. So now observe here how many methods we are trying to overriding here. How many methods we are trying to overriding here. So we don't work more like all the methods here. Just we need to focus on the class to table name. Class to table name here. Now, so what you are understanding here? Whenever we want to, whenever we are not providing any, the table property in our class level, this method will going to call. For example, in our category class, I'm not defining this particular table attribute here. Table attribute. So if I'm not defining this particular table attribute here, what happens internally? The class to table name, this particular method is going to call. And the same way, property to column names here. Same thing, like in our property, if I'm not defining the particular column names here, this particular method is going to call. And here, and we can work on the table names here. So this particular table name and column name, even we can define the attribute, the table attribute and column attribute on top of the like property level or the class level. So these two methods are going to call. We can define the table name here. So how we want to write the table name. So for example, I want to define here the table name with so CA underscore plus here table name. Getting the point. So this is the way the table names are going to appended here. And what we can do, we can go for this particular column names here. So to work on the columns here, now what we can do, same thing we can implement the column names here. But now we don't want to work about the column names here. We cannot provide the CE for the column. Just we can provide the column, the CE for the table name. And now for this particular property to table name here, property to, where is we need to identify one more method, column names, property to column names. Okay, so what I will do, I want to define the all the information here. Let's see class to table name. So for this particular class to table name here, now we are passing the name of the class name here. And what I will do, so I will try to return the table name here. I will try to return the table name here because internally we are having the particular table name here. We can call table name here and we can specify the name of the table here. We'll see how we can define the table name with the help of this particular method call so string helper. Okay, unqualified. Inside this particular Hibernate, we are having one class called string helper. With help of this particular string helper, we are going to call one method called unqualified. And here I'm going to specify the name of the method. And after this, we'll try to work on the two uppercase. Okay, so this is the way we can convert the particular table into two uppercase. And now what we can do for this particular property, is whatever the property name we are going to get, we want to convert it into the two uppercase. And the table name we are making is for this particular column names here. So instead of returning null, simply we can return this particular column name here. So we are not going to modify anything here. But now observe, I'm defining one method here. I'm trying to work on the particular method called property to table name. And here class name comma property name. Right. And what we can do here, I want to return table name, and I want to call property to column name and property name. Okay. So here we may show R here. Right. So this is the way we can call on the property to table name here, and is going to work on these are the information here. Right. Now, so whenever we define this particular information, so what happens internally? So we already identified here the class to table name is going to call if the class mapping does not specify any table attribute here. So this particular class, the class attribute does not specify any the table attribute, right? And so we identified here if this particular property does not have a explicit column here, what it will do? So 1 second. This particular property to column name is going to call. If the column property is not identified, this method will call. The table property is not identified, this method will call. Right. And we identified here, so remaining method will call based on our object insertion. So to work on this particular class here, now what we can do, we'll go for the main class. Inside this particular Hibernate main class here, I want to define as a CFG dot set naming strategy. Getting the point. Here we can create our new object. So what is a newly created class? So we need to specify like this. So whenever we are specifying like this, what happens internally? Hibernate will call this particular CA naming strategy. It will try to inject the table along with our properties here. Getting the point. So this is the way we can change our the table name is going to append with unique information here, right? And we can work on the schema here. We can work on the schema. So to work on this particular schema, now what we can do? So we are having one property. So we'll try to define the property in our Hibernate.property file. We'll try to define the property in our Hibernate dot default underscore schema. Basically, the schema is going to identify the table whenever we are having the same table. How we can identify with help of this particular schema? We are going to create into the different the same table we are going to create into the different schemas here. And now I want to work on the default schema. So what is the default schema? We can work on the HB. So HB is nothing but Hibernate I am trying to provide. So to work on this particular default schema, now what we can do? We need to create here inside this particular Spring JDBC. So these are the schemas. What is the default schema we are having? Public. Now what we can do? Here we can go for the Here we can go for the create a new schema, and the name of the schema we are having HB. Owner, this is the Postgres. Now you can see if we want to change any owner, we can go for it, but we want to work on the the Postgres user here. So which inside the which database we are creating a Spring JDBC. Now we are trying to create a schema HB. Okay. So whatever the table we are going to create, those table will available inside this particular HB schema, not the public. Inside this particular public, now you can see tables we are having person and message. Person and message. But inside this particular HB, so as of now, we don't have any tables here. As of now, we don't have any tables here. Right. So we'll try to create the table with the help of this particular default schema. And so whenever we are going to work on the default schema, now what we can write, here we can specify the schema information. Here we can specify the schema information. And what is the schema we are trying to work here? HB. We are trying to work on the HB here. And so we want to work on the default schema, not like I don't want to provide the class level. I want to provide the default schema for entire the Hibernate mapping here. So here we can go for the default access. What happened here? Access. Maybe the default schema, I think they removed here. So they did not provide the default. Directly they're having schema. We can go for the HB. Getting the point. So this is for optional purpose we can define here. So this is applicable only for this class. But whenever we are trying to create multiple classes here, so instead of defining each class, now what we can do, we can define the schema on top of the mapping level. So this is the different option we can work on the schema here. Right. Now observe. So we define the particular class. We define the category class with different information here, schemas as well as some national condition. And okay, so we don't want to work on this particular property. So just for understanding, I'm providing the property information here. And let's see, is there any, okay, so one more information we need to discuss here, package here. So basically, if you see the package we created on top of the class, the package we created on top of this particular class here. But here, so instead of defining this particular class here, we are having one more option here. We can go for the Hibernate mapping level. So what is the package here? Now we can see the package we are having here. So with help of this particular package, we can define like this: com.spring.hibernate. So inside all the Hibernate packages here, whatever the classes we are going to write. So without specifying explicitly the package name on top of each class, we can work on the example here. So we can work on the example because we are making default to all the classes here. Default to all the classes here. So this is all about the mapping related information we identified. Now, so we want to understand the object identity here. Basically, how this particular object we are going to identify here. So in the normal application, how we are going to identify the object here based on the equals method or double equal to operator here. Getting the point. So based on the equals method or double equal to operator, we'll try to find out whether these two objects are equal or not. But in the getting the point. And in the Hibernate here, so how we can identify the database identity here. Getting the point. So Hibernate manages this particular database identity. So and we'll see so how this particular database identity is going to work here. Getting the point. So to understand this particular database identity here, what we need to understand so the object is stored into the relational database here. The identical they are represent the same row or equivalent to the same table, or they are going to work on the primary key. So based on this particular three information here, if they are trying to representing same row or whenever they are having the same data, they are trying to share to the same table with the primary keys here, we can easily understand so both the objects are equal here. Both the objects are equal here. Getting the point. And if we want to understand the identified here, so we are going to have session dot get identifier here. Getting the just for understanding whether the object is equal or not, how we can check here. So with the help of this particular method call session dot get identifier. Getting the point. So here, what is expecting here? If I'm going to provide message here, now we are going to get an ID here. The serializable ID we are going to get. So based on this particular serializable ID, we can easily understand here. So the given ID and whatever the ID we are getting from this particular identifier method. So both are equal. We can easily understand. Both objects are same here. Both objects are same here. Right. So this is very important here whenever we are going to work on the multiple objects here. Multiple objects here. So it's going to provide the more information here. Now you can see and the primary key values, whenever we are trying to insert the data, the primary key values, so it's not going to change anywhere here. Once the data is inserted into the relational database here, the primary key will not be changed here. Now, so we identify the generator here. The generator, like where this category. Now you can see the generator class we made as a native here. So what exactly this particular native is going to work here? Getting the point. So native internally it is some combination of here we can go for the different the classes we are having here. We are having some different classes here. What are the different classes we are having? Something called identity and comma sequence here. And so we can work on this particular. So Helio we are going to call. Basically, whenever we are making the generator class native, so it's a combination of this particular three here. So in this case, so it's going to work on the sequence or identity or Helio. So which one the relational database is going to support, the appropriate generator class is going to identify here. So for example, if I'm going to make native, so first we need to understand the identity. So how exactly this particular identity is going to work? Basically, identity is going to support on some different databases here. So DB2, MySQL, and MS SQL Server. Getting the point. So it's going to support on the DB2, MySQL, and MS SQL Server here. So it's not going to support our Postgres here. If I'm going to provide the identity, so what it will do is going to check for is there any other alternative the generator class we are having or not, right? And identity is not useful. And the sequence. So sequence is going to supported by the Oracle, DB2, Postgres, and SAP. Getting the pen. So SAP DB. So these are the database are going to supported by the sequence here. Now, so whenever, even though if I'm going to make native here internally, so which generator class we are working here? Sequence here. Because the native is a combination of this particular three generator classes here. So Helio is also not supported by our Postgres database here. Is not going to supported by the Postgres here. And so we can go for the increment here. We are having one more here. We are having one more generator class here, increment here. What it will do? So previous example, when we are trying to work on the message here, we work on the increment here. So whenever we are trying to work on this particular increment here, what it will do? So it will try to find out the max value of the given table. So it's nothing but in this case, in the category, it will try to find out the max value of this particular ID. So once this particular max value of is identified, it will try to increment the value. So this is the behavior of this particular increment is going to work internally, right? So what about this particular sequence here? This particular sequence here, it will try to increment the value one by one here. It will try to increment the value one by one. So based on we are going to have one sequence generator in a Hibernate here. We'll see how this particular sequence generator is going to work. Okay. So these are the generator classes we need to focus, right? So now, so once we familiar with generator classes here, we need to focus on the one object model here. Basically, the object model here. So if I'm going to provide like user is connecting with address here, but the address we are going to have two informations here, billing address as well as home address here. Whenever the user is having two address information, how we are going to provide? Because we cannot create the two tables and we cannot provide the two information here. So to work on these two sections here, how we can write here? So for example, whenever the user is having billing related information, so for example, billing state and billing city and billing zip code. And same way, it's trying to insert the data for the home address, home state, home city, some of the home zip code here. So these are the properties we need to insert it here. Getting the point. And so instead of taking the two tables here, now what we can do, we can insert the data into the single table by differentiating the whether it's trying to connect with the home address or is trying to connect with our billing address. So how we are going to work on these two comparison here. So we'll see. So to work on this, we need to change the mapping first here. So go for this particular user class mapping. So I'm trying to providing the mapping related information first. So later we'll focus on our map like association here. So this is very important. What happened? We'll create a, sorry, not here. From this particular source level, we want to create a XML here. And so what is a XML file? Like what is a mapping file we need to create? We need to create a mapping file for this user.hbm.xml. I'm trying to copy all the information. So schema we are going to use and package also we are going to use same. And we'll try to change our class with the user. Table also I'm going to make user. And inside the user we are having user ID. And I want to make generator as a native only. And so property. Let me go for the properties here inside the user class. Go for the user.hbm file, username. And what is the name of the column we can make it? Username. The type we can make as a string and we can make non-null condition. And let me delete this. Let me delete this particular so one more property. And so we need to define another properties. What are the properties we are having? Password. For this particular user.hbm, so this is the property we are having. Password and not null. And we don't have a many-to-many relations. And now, if we observe, here we need to define the one important concept called, because if you see inside this particular user is expecting address here. This particular address may be different, like a billing address or home address. So this address, only one address table we are pointing here, but with a different information here. So how we are going to provide the different information here. To connect to those information, here we need to create our component here. So what is the name of the component here? Getting the point. What is the name of the component here? The name of the component I want to provide as a home address. Getting the point. So inside this particular home address here, now what I'm doing is I'm trying to define the columns here. And here we need to specify the class here. So this particular component is referring to the which class here. That is called address here. That is called address. So inside this particular address only, based on the address properties only, we'll try to insert the data here. Okay, so as of now, in the address table, we don't have any, sorry, in the address class, we don't have any data here. So to work on this particular address, now what we can do, we need to create the information here. So for example, private long ID, private string street here, and city zip code and default constructor, right? And we'll try to set the setters and the getters. Sorry. Right. Now we created, these are the properties. Now what I want to write here inside this particular user.hbm.xml, I want to define the properties here. So now the home address is pointing to the address. Okay. Let me create a property here. We're having property here. So based on this particular property name, we are going to connect our address class information. So this is our street here, right? And this particular street having type here, string here, and we need to provide the column here. The column I want to provide as a home underscore street, and we can make here, if we want to make not null constraints also. If we want to make not null constraints also. How many we are having here? We are having 3 here. So street and city home city. And another one, what we can do, zip code here. Sorry. Another one we are having zip code here. So zip code also we made as a string only, and zip code. Let me make the format here. Now you can see the format here, how we are making it. So username, password, so component we created. This is a street, city, and zip code. And the same way, now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to create one more component here. So this particular component is going to work on the billing address. This particular component is going to work on the billing address, and again, which is expecting from the address class. Only the difference we need to change here. Billing state, billing city, and billing zip code. Getting the point. And this is the way we can go for the two components here. But these two components are pointing to the which table here? Address table here. But how the data is going to store? How the data is going to store here based on this particular user table billing address component and home address component. So this is referring to the billing address and this is referring to the home address. This is the way we can work on the particular properties here. And here now what we can do, if basically whenever we are making this particular component information, we are working on the only unidirectional here. Unidirectional we are having here. So now from the user to address, but there is no the bidirectional here. From the address to user, we cannot get the any information here. So to find out this particular information, now what we can do, we need to define the parent tag here. We need to define the parent tag. So whenever we are making the parent tag, we are going to connect in the both sides here, from the user to address, address to user here. So how we are going to make it? And to find out this information, here we are having parent tag. So this is the parent tag. So what is the parent tag we are having? Here we can go for the user here. Here we can go for the user. So this section of code is going to provide bidirectional operations here. Is going to provide bidirectional operations here. Based on this particular bidirectional operations, we can perform both side of operations here. Right. So this is all about the component here. With two information, we are going to connect our application here. Let's see so how we can run the simple example on this particular address here. So user and address here. Okay. So to create this section, first I want to copy address information here. I want to create one more mapping here. Okay. So without mapping, first we'll try to find out the understanding way how we can work on the user with the address. So user we created here. User dot. So ID we cannot set here, and username Hibernate. Password. For this particular password also I want to make Hibernate. And address, new address I'm trying to create. Right. And address is dot. So first to street here. For all the streets here, now what we can do, HI1, city. The city we want to make as a HIB. And zip code. So this is the zip code I want to provide. Right? And if you observe carefully, so this address I want to make home address. Getting the point? If I want to make home address, so we need to change the address section of code here. Getting the point? We want to change this particular home address. Let's see. Okay. Now billing address. Right. So this is the way we can work on the billing address here. Now, so whenever we are trying to work on this particular billing address here, now how we can work on because we need to set to the address table. To set this particular address table here, we need to work on one more relation here. We need to work on the relation here. Let's see. in the address, home address, and user, after zip code we want to insert the data, setters and getters here, get zip code, set zip code. Now you can see here we are inserting user related information, and we need to create a one mapping file for this particular address here. XML mapping address.hbm.xml. Address table, and ID we are having address ID street here. What is a okay? Now the property street here, we can make only street here. Type string not null true. So three properties. Street, and finally zip code here. Okay. City, zip code. So this is all about the particular data here. Let me save all the classes here. Go to our main class here. We'll try to run our example, and sorry. User. So what is okay? So we did not provide a null pointer. Somewhere we are getting null pointer exception. Binding logical to physical. Okay, some table column binding we are getting an exception here. We'll try to handle this exception first. Exception breakpoint. So from the line number 19, we are calling here. So just here we are calling. One second. Line number hibernate main 19. So maybe the CFG we did not create it. Okay, so we'll see like where we are getting an exception here. So I enable the breakpoint here. Okay, so first here we are not going to work on the message. Otherwise, we'll keep all the classes here. Address. Let me debug as a Java application. What is our resource name? User HPM file. Okay. So this particular user is expecting the within the this particular package here. So but we created user and address. So logical name we are getting. So physical name we are getting message ID. Okay. So from where it is coming here? Okay. CFG. Okay. For this name, we are not getting any logical name here. So we need to understand inherited nodes. Root class. What is a root class? Mapping message. Okay. So we are getting the expected only. What are the property? Okay. ID. Some phrase we are getting. What is the column name? Message ID. Property path ID. Logical name. Naming strategy. Okay. Okay. So here we are making logical column name null. So because of this particular logical column name, we are getting a null pointer exception. So we need to provide these particular values here. Here I can call column name and property, but they will be providing. Okay. Let's see here what is the column name we are getting. Message ID, property ID, ID we are getting. So what we need to return the logical column name. So column already we are getting. So simply we can return the message ID. We can go for the our main class where we define. Okay. We'll try to restart our application one more time. Someone is trying to property to table name should be small letters as well. See, actually, property, the first letter is small is fine. So this is the way to define the methods here. Okay, so back to here we made PY capital, okay. Right, but back to here, inside this particular Hibernate, I want to run one more time. Ojo entity. What is the exception we are getting? Property not found. So what is the property is not found in here? Home address. Okay, so we need to define the home address property. Could not get the home address from the user, right? So this is we are getting an exception. Now what we can do inside this particular user, we'll try to run one more time. Again, we are getting an exception. So we need to find out at this time maybe what happened. We define here home address, getter method home address. What we define here, okay, sorry. Okay, for each component is expecting billing address and a home address. Where is our user class? And how we are going to connect this user? Let's see what we are missing here. One-to-one code address, billing address ID. Let me redesign this particular billing address. Okay, address. Okay. We implemented billing address as well. Okay. So sequence is generated. If you observe, we're trying to work on the native. So whenever we are working on the native, so this is the sequence is created by the Hibernate, hb.hibernate sequence here. It's trying to insert the value based on this particular sequence here, right? So previously we connect with our increment. So when we are trying to connect with our application, what is the value we are getting? Select to max of some the particular column ID, the table ID. So this is the difference here, but see, we are getting an exception. Property value expected here. Okay, property value expected is nothing but, again, it's coming from the our CB clause here. So what we are missing entity, user, billing address, billing address. So to work on this particular billing address, okay, from where it is coming? Hibernate address and so Hibernate. This is the string value and this is an object we are getting. So zip code null. Okay. We'll see what is an exception we are getting. Not null property reference null constraint or billing address. Okay. So here we made not null. Where is a user.xml? So we can remove this particular not null constraint here. So first we'll see with a simple example. Later we can change to the different values here. Again we are getting an exception. I removed the not null. Still we are getting a not null. Where is our address? User billing address. Nullable billing address. Street column. Property. So we don't have a not null condition here, but still we are getting column type name. The string zip code. Where we are missing something, we are getting an error here. Typo column. Okay. Parent. We'll try to run one more time. So why we are getting not null? Okay. So otherwise, So the data is inserted user table here. Now, first we need to check information. What are the information we can found here? So table is created, CE underscore message, and the scheme also we are getting. And this is the indexes they are creating here. And one more table they created, address table. These are the indexes for the address table and user table. Okay, so schema and everything completed. So sequence is generated. And so what is the value of this particular sequence here? Anywhere we can find. Okay, now we need to go for the table here first. Select star from. Directly we can work on the user table. So if I'm going to run user table, so basically this is the default table we are getting, user, right? So to connect our application table, what we can do? So hb.user table. So user, okay. So maybe hb dot, no. What is the table we created here? Oh, sorry, hb ce underscore user. Now observe home street, home city, home zip code, billing state and billing city and billing zip code. So these are the values is inserted into this particular table called user table. But now what you are understanding here, with help of this particular component, we can go for the different columns here. Right, now first we can go for the hb dot ce underscore. So we did not insert any data. So there is no relation here. To insert this particular data, now what we can do? User and set user. No data is inserted. Okay. Okay. So basically, we did not provided the relation between address and user. So just we provided the classes mapping, but the table mapping we did not provided here. So to work on this particular table mapping here, first what we need to understand here. So we need to understand the the mapping first here. We need to understand the mapping between one to one or many to many or many to one here. So once we familiar with these three, so we can easily understand how this particular objects are going to integrate with the association here. Right. So before going to discuss this particular association, first we need to understand the inheritance here. In the database side, like how the what kind of the inheritance is going to supported here. And basically we'll have a three inheritance concept we will have. So table for concrete class, and table for class hierarchy, and table for subclasses here. So these are the basic three hierarchies we are going to identify, and we need to understand the how each one is going to work here. How this particular each hierarchy is going to work. Basically, if we observe the simple strategy here, the mapping classes to the database here, one table for one class here. Getting the point? So one table for one class is going to provide some simple information here. But whenever we are having multiple classes, how we are going to create with multiple tables here? Getting the point? When we are having multiple classes here, so we cannot work on the multiple tables here. So using this particular inheritance here, how we are going to work on the table creation with the help of this particular classes here. And inheritance, one of the visible feature here, getting the point, is one of the visible feature to between the object oriented and relational database. So object oriented is nothing but what are our more POJO classes with relational database, how we are going to integrating here. So we need to understand the inheritance here. So as we discuss here, we are having three inheritance here. And whenever we are discussing here, table for concrete class here. So table for concrete class here, it's trying to provide it's going to discuss the polymorphism as well as inheritance relationship. So why it's going to discuss the polymorphism and inheritance here? Because here, what we are doing here we are going to work on the one table, one class. One table, one class here. If the class is extending from the other table, what happens internally? So whatever the properties we are having, all the properties we are going to make into the appropriate table here. Getting the point. So for example, this particular address is extending from the billing address. The billing address information also we are going to store into this particular address, because one class for one table here. Address we are having the class, and the same way we are going to create a one table for the address. Even though the address is extending from the billing address, the billing address properties also we are going to store into the address table here. And the same way, another one here, table for class hierarchy here. So the class hierarchy here, now what you are understanding, we are going to work on the inheritance concepts here, because we are going to have the classes hierarchy, because if the classes are extending one other to another, definitely we are going to have some hierarchy here. So from the where these classes are extending or where these particular classes are implementing here. So to understand here what happens here is going to enable the polymorphism, and is going to work on the some of the discriminator column here. Based on this particular discriminator column, we are going to understand the inheritance and polymorphism here. With the help of this particular discriminator column, we are going to differentiate the values is coming from the which class. So for example, same address is extending from the billing address and home address. With the help of this particular discriminator column, we are going to differentiate this address belongs to billing address or home address. Getting the point. So how we can differentiate with the help of this particular discriminator column, we can see. So this particular discriminator column, we need to define our mapping document here. Okay. And one more here, table for subclass here. So the table code subclass, how it's going to work here. And here for the inheritance relationship is going to work on the easier relationship. So for as a relationship is going to work on the foreign key. Getting the point. So if you know the basic inheritance concept in our core Java, so how is easier relationship and has a relationship is going to work. For the easier relationship here is going to work on the primary key. For as a relationship is going to work on the foreign key information here. So based on this, the third inheritance is going to work in our relational database, something called table for subclass here. So most we need to focus on the table for hierarchy. Basically, the table for hierarchy here, we'll try to connect to more than one class here. More than one class here. So how we can differentiate this particular table for hierarchy? So we'll try to work on the simple example here. Okay. So this section of code inheritance, so we'll try to discuss in our tomorrow. So once we familiar with table for the high inheritance concepts here, we can go for the mapping related information. So something called association, like one to one or one to many or many to one, or we can go for the many to many. So this section of code we are going to work on the after completion of the inheritance, and once we complete the association, we'll try to focus on the life cycle of the objects here. Getting the point. So how this particular life cycle of objects will store in our session here. So this section of code we are going to discuss in our tomorrow session here. So any questions regarding our today's session? So basically, we identified the some of the information for schema, packages, and we created the naming strategy classes here. And finally, we connected with the properties in our same table with help of this particular component here. And we identified some of the property level attributes here. So type attribute, not null attribute, formula attribute, and access attribute. Getting the point. So these are the basic information we identified. So and these are the most important informations as well. Okay. So if we don't have anything, like we'll try to continue tomorrow. Tomorrow also, so most of the information we are going to discuss here. Okay, I did not see the messages section here. Basically, my GitHub account is giving some error here, so I did not provided the I did not get the time to look into the what exactly the error indicating here. But I will share the code here. I'm trying to create a one more GitHub account. So if it is not working successfully, we'll create a one more GitHub here so that we can access the what we are discussing the day-to-day sessions here. Okay. Any other questions? So we'll see the Kafka related information once we completed our Spring and Spring Boot. So when we are trying to work on the Spring Boot, we can integrate with the Kafka. So what is a concrete class? So that you need to understand. This is the basic core Java question. So you need to know like what is abstract and concrete classes here. So concrete class is nothing but which is the class is, extended by some other classes. For the concrete classes only, we are going to create an object here. So just now we discussed here address. If the address is extending from the some other like home address or billing address, this is the address is a concrete class because we are going to create a object of this particular address class. We are not going to create a object for the billing address and home address. So any other questions? Okay. So if we don't have anything, like we'll try to continue tomorrow.